Welcome back. So as nights go, tonight was very hectic. There was so much going on at the same time, and I'm doing my best. So apologies for things that get missed. It does happen. I do my best not to miss goals, which has happened at times. But at any rate, here we are. We're going to discuss the 12 games that were tonight. And some changes to the power rankings definitely took place this week, or today, I should say, as I do update them after every game. So, starting things off, Carolina in against Columbus. This goes exactly the way as we might have expected. It's Anderson versus Korpisalo at 2:34 on what was the second shot for Carolina. Pesce scores from Teravainen. It's off a face-off win. It's posted in. Nice goal. Not much chance for Korpisalo on that one. Shots are 3-1 Carolina at 5 minutes. Gaudreau's denied on a net drive. Columbus gets a power play. It becomes 4-on-4. During the 4-on-4, Burns scores from Jarvis and Slavin at 10:39, and then everything's killed off there. So, Canes press with 6 minutes left, but eventually, Corelli scores one from Olivier and Bayreuther at 15 minutes to make it 2-1, so Columbus is still in this. Laine was denied in the closing seconds. So again, if you're kind of optimistic that maybe Columbus might have a chance, the last 5 minutes of the period gave you some hope. Second period, shots are 3-1 for the Canes at 7 minutes. Columbus getting zone time, but they really needed shots. Weren't getting enough at that point. Korpisalo had been sharp. I know the end, it's an ugly look for him, but I don't really put it on Korpisalo. Canes get a power play. That's killed off. There's a good back and forth between these teams at the half. Roslovic fires one high in a rush. Columbus gets a power play, and that leads to a shorthanded goal. It's Chatfield from Fast at 15:52. I'm also going to say, it's nice that the app is a minute and a half ahead of me on games in Columbus. It's this weird thing now where games in Columbus, the app is always telling me what's going to happen. So I know when a goal's coming. So anyways, Canes do finish the kill, and then to close out the period, they get some pressure as well. It also takes like the tension out of watching it live. Like, well, I know they don't score here. So third period, early jump for the Canes. Then there's a power play for Carolina. Nason's denied. Korpisalo holds on. It's killed off, but 5 shots. So Korpisalo's doing everything he can, but Pesce would score from Aho at 8:02. Nate just gets shaken up. It was an accidental trip from Svechnikov that did that. We get a power play for Columbus. It becomes a 4-on-4. Everything's killed off there. And then Slavin scores from Aho at 14:55. Johnny Gaudreau would answer seconds later. He scores from Laine and Boquist at 15:27. But just to make sure the score is lopsided, Jarvis scores from Nason and Kotkaniemi at 16:45. Your final score is 6-2 in this one. For Carolina, they go to 26-9-7. So Columbus cures what ails you. They drop to 12-27-2 with the loss. The 3 stars in this one, Pesce, Burns, and Slavin. Shots in this one, 12 apiece in the first, 12-5 Carolina in the second, 17-6 Carolina in the third. Final shots, 41-23 for the Canes. Power plays, Carolina 0-4, Columbus 0-3. The hits were 20-12 Columbus. Freddie Anderson wasn't that busy. 21 saves on 23 shots. Good numbers for him. Korpisalo, 35 saves on 41 shots. But again, I'm not going to put it on Korpisalo. I can't. I just can't. It's not on him. Next up, Dallas and the Rangers. So, yeah, this one ended up being kind of frustrating as a Stars fan. I understand that this is the most exciting result of the night, and for the Rangers, we'll see what it does for their season, but it was so close. So it's Ottinger versus Shesterkin in this one. The shots are 2-1 for the Rangers at 4 minutes. The Stars press at 9 minutes. This was the game where very little happened through most of it, to be completely honest. The Rangers press with 8 minutes left. They were blocking shots too. They had blocked all 8 shots that had been blocked with 8.5 minutes left. Heedle's denied, rebound cleared. The Stars are keeping the Rangers to the outside when they're getting chances. It's scoreless after 1. Second period, early press by the Rangers. Trouba has a shot that's held. The shots are 4-2 Rangers at 3.5 minutes. Fox is denied from the face-off circle. That starts the Igor chance. Wasn't the last time they'd go tonight. Power play for the Rangers. That's killed off. There's a delay game call. The Rangers go back to the power play. That was killed off because Ottinger's amazing. So that's how that works. Gaudreau has a net feed. That's held. The Stars press. Draws them a power play. And on a puck that bounces over to Sagan, he buries it. He gets the power play marker from Marchment and Guryanov at 17:53. And then the Stars press for another. Now, coming into tonight's action, when they lead after 2, the Stars 16-0-0. And when I see something like that, I have to put it on the board because I see it as a jinx. And, I mean, it's the Rangers broadcast, so of course it's a jinx. Ben has a wraparound. That wouldn't go. Good back and forth early. Lafreniere's denied and close. The shots are 6-4 Dallas at 6 minutes, so Igor's keeping this one close. Hedel has a rush chance that's held. There's a delay game by Ottinger, which Dallas didn't like, but delay game. And it's something we've seen from goaltenders where their mask is loose, and you take your mask off. You are definitely risking a delay game call, but that was killed off. That does get killed off, so no harm, no foul. Trocheck has a shot that's held. Goalie gets pulled. The Rangers call a timeout with 1:31 left. And with 0.9 seconds left on the clock, Keandre Miller scores from Trocheck and Fox. Going to overtime, the Rangers control early. Panarin's denied, and then Fox scores. Dallas never touched the puck. Panarin and Zibanejad with the assists at 1:16. Dallas, in overtime, it's a disaster. Basically, if you're a Dallas fan and it's going into overtime, you can just turn it off. They're done. 25-11 and 7 with the overtime loss for Dallas. On the Rangers side, they're 24-12 and 7 with the win. In overtime, the 3 stars were Fox, Shesterkin, and Ottinger. The shots in this one, 8-6 Islanders in the first, 11-10 Islanders in the second, 10-9 Islanders. Rangers. Why did I put Islanders? That's Rangers. You just changed the I to an R. 8-6 Rangers in the first, 11-10 Rangers in the second, 10-9 Rangers in the third, and 2-0 Rangers in the overtime. Dallas just played the Islanders. Must be in the brain. Shots were 31-25 Rangers. Power plays. Dallas goes 1 for 1. Rangers go 0 for 4. Hits 16-14 Dallas. Ottinger saves 29 out of 31. It didn't get goal support. Shesterkin saves 24 out of 25. He eventually gets goal support. And so it was a nice goalie battle. And for Dallas, they'll be thinking about that extra point they didn't get. I've talked about it with Calgary. Dallas is having the same problem. They don't get those points in overtime, and it's something that could cost them later. All right, next up, Nashville in against the Montreal Canadiens. It was Askarov versus Montembeault. They had a nice pregame with PK Subban there. It was nice to see him back in Montreal and see the fans cheering him again. Early jump for Montreal. The shots are 5-0 in favor of the Habs at 2.5 minutes. But Nashville gets a power play. That's killed off. And then Niederreiter would deflect one in. Yossi with the assist at 10:35. Evans is denied on a fast break. The Habs get a power play. That becomes a 4-on-4. During the 4-on-4, Jake Evans gets a goal from Savard and Edmondson at 13:30. I think Jake Evans is capable of scoring more than he does at the NHL level. I think there's more to his game. So Askarov then denies Harris. And then Doc scores from Ylonen and Drouin at 15:08. So Ylonen, his first game of the year in the NHL, and he gets a point. There you go. But Kirby Doc getting the goal was buried from the side of the net. The Habs look for more, and they're just getting way too many shots. So Nashville, again, having a first period where they're just allowing too many shots. They would settle that down in the second and third, but it's definitely part of their game. So second period, 12 seconds in, Forsberg ties it. From Duchesne and Parsonen. Parsonen's been very prominent since his call-up as well. I think he's been solid. The Habs get a power play. That's killed off. Nashville pressures at 5 minutes. Slafkovsky impresses with hits in defense. At this point in the game, I understand that people are wanting to write off Slafkovsky already. He's a teenager. Habs get a power play, and they score on it. It's Caulfield from Suzuki and Drouin at 10:03. Then we had a fight between Jeannot and Jackeye. Those guys know how to throw. Fans call a trip. The referee doesn't. There's some good end-to-end action late in this one. The Habs press with 1.5 minutes left. There was a post for Evans on a breakaway, so he almost had another. 7 seconds left. Nashville gets a power play. So that rolls over into the third period. Forsberg has a shot that's blocked during said power play. Montreal does manage to kill that off. Preds go back to the power play. That's killed off, and then shortly thereafter, Montreal gets a power play, and they score on it. This is a power play that was 32nd out of 32 teams coming into tonight. Caulfield scores from Doc and Drouin at 6:15. Drouin at 6:15. Habs press at the half. Caulfield misses wide on a rush, but then on a face-off win after pulling the goaltender, Nashville makes it a little bit closer. It's Parsonen from Ekholm at 18:31. Novak nearly ties it, but he doesn't. So your final score is 4-3 for Montreal. They go to 17, 22, and 3 with the win. For Nashville, 19, 16, and 6 with the loss. Has to be a frustrating one. 3 stars in this one, Caulfield, Drouin, and Evans. Shots in this one, 19-8 Montreal in the first, 14-9 Nashville in the second, 20-7 Nashville in the third. Final shots, 42-35 for Nashville. Power plays, Nashville 0 for 3. Montreal 2 for 3. The hits 29-23 for Nashville. Askarov 31 saves on 35 shots. Not a bad debut for the kid, really. Montembeault 39 saves on 42 shots, and he's one goaltender of a few that I felt like probably deserved 3-star consideration that don't seem to have gotten it. All right, last one on this board is Seattle in against Boston. So, and again, I just put these in the order that they are according to the app. So with Seattle, really, this was a huge game. Now, it's Jones versus Ullmark. Before the game, what does Jack Edwards say? You look at Jones, I'm paraphrasing. You look at Jones's numbers and you can see Seattle has to bail him out. They have to outscore him. That .898 save percentage, and he laughed. And I thought, okay, so here's the deal with Jones. Jones had a really good run, really good save percentage, and then had a horrible couple of weeks that it absolutely annihilated his numbers. But his numbers have been coming back up. So if you don't know that, maybe don't say they're outscoring their goaltending, because Martin Jones, I think, has played well. And look what he did. It's the reverse jinx, right? So, early press by the Bruins. The Kraken get a power play. That's killed off. There's a press by Seattle at 4.5 minutes, and they were out shooting Boston 3-1 at 6.5 minutes, or 6 minutes. At 7:14, Tanev tips one in on what was a sharp angle shot from Sprong. So it's 1-0 for Seattle, and that's on a turnover. Seattle tonight kind of played like Boston normally does, and they did it well. So Boston presses to answer, but the Kraken go back to the power play. McCann's denied, the rebounds cleared, that's killed off. Beniers has a blast, that's held. Bruins are not as fast to the pucks as the Kraken. Really solid play by Seattle in this one. I wrote Bruins by accident because I'm used to them being the team that's faster to the puck. They weren't. 2:21 left. Boston gets a power play. That's killed off. After the first period, it's 1-0 Seattle. Second period, good start for Boston. The Bruins press at 2.5 minutes. Alexiak has a shot that's blocked. The Bruins clear it out. Zacha couldn't bury one in close. Pasternak's denied on a breakaway. Really solid game for Martin Jones. Can't say enough good things about tonight. And I am a Jones fan. I really legitimately am. So Tanev's then denied as Seattle presses. The shots are 6-3 for Seattle with 9.5 minutes left. They were the better team tonight. Power play for Seattle, that's killed off. Krejci has a rush chance to deflect out. Frederick can't bury one. The Bruins press with 3.5 minutes left. But at 19:22, final minute, Tolvanen, who has just fit in so well in Seattle. So I just uploaded the short where I talked about Ron Francis and how he's going to be in the mix for GM of the year. Tolvanen was a perfect ad. I don't think Tolvanen would have scored much of anything if he'd been picked up by, say, Vancouver or Arizona or Ottawa. It just works in Seattle. So the assists on that one, Bjorkstrand and Gord. And again, posting in for Tolvanen. Bruins nearly answer, but a goal line stand there by Jones. And after 2 periods, it's 2-0 for Seattle. Third period, early jump for Seattle. So again, they come out, they're ahead, and they know they have to keep on Boston. Stick save on a Pasternak shot. We go 5+ minutes without a shot. Fantastic. So Seattle now kind of channeling their inner Islanders with this too. Wenberg has a chance that's held. The Bruins press. More saves by Jones at that stage. The shots are 6-5 for Boston at 9.5 minutes. Sprong fires one high. The goalie gets pulled with 3.5 minutes left because they're down by 2. And that allows Schwartz to hit the empty net at 18:50 from Dunn and Larson. And your final score is 3-0. So there's the Tony the Tiger Magnet. Your one shutout tonight is for Seattle. They win 3-0. They go to 25-12-7. That is 7 straight wins. On the Boston side, 32-5-4. It is their first regulation loss at home this season. And on some levels, a Boston fan, I'm glad it's done, because it was a topic of conversation. Now they've got their first regulation loss at home. We'll move on. 3 stars, Jones, Tanev, and Ullmark. Ullmark was good too, just didn't have any goal support, obviously. Shots in this one, 14-8, Seattle in the first, 10-9 Boston in the second, 9-8 Boston in the third. Limiting Boston to 9 shots in the third when they're down 2-0 is impressive. Final shots, 31-27 Seattle. 0 for 3 on the power play for Seattle, 0 for 1 on Boston. Boston wasn't drawing power plays tonight. Hits 30-26 Boston. Jones saves all 27 shots for his 28th career shutout. Ullmark saves 28 out of 30. Had a good game, but he gets overshadowed. And now I need to change boards. And on board number 2, we start off with Toronto and Detroit. So, I mean, this was a really solid game by Ville Husso. And Detroit's just, over their last couple of games, whenever they get a chance, it seems to go in. So it's Samsonov versus Husso in this one. McMahon scores, but it's no goal due to him kicking the puck over. I know it deflected. It wasn't like he kicked it directly into the net, but still, kicks at the puck. It's a kicking motion. It's no goal. Fabry has a rush chance to save. The shots are 5 apiece at 8 minutes, and at 8.5 minutes, Raymond scores from Larkin. The Wings then press with 9.5 minutes left, so they are out playing Toronto at this point in the game. Then there's a near miss for Fabry on the next Wings press. Has Robbie Fabry been great since returning or what? 2:56 left. The Wings get a power play. That's killed off, but they're up 1-0 after one. Second period, early power play for the Wings. That becomes 39 seconds of 5-on-3. Toronto does not allow a goal during the 5-on-3, but Detroit scores during the 5-on-4, and it's Fabry from Bergeron and Kubalik at 3:48. Rasmussen's then denied on a rush. But then at 6:18, Sandin puts Toronto on the board from Tavares and Liljegren. Sandin and Liljegren have been honestly under the radar as pretty good defensemen for Toronto, considering all the depth problems they've had with guys getting hurt. So the Leafs get a power play. That's killed off. The shots are 5-3 for Toronto with 6.5 minutes left, showing there's not a lot of shots getting on the net. Ernie's denied as the Wings press. The fans call one. The ref doesn't. You know what that leads to? Yeah, the ref being told his suckage meter isn't at 0. So the third period starts with the score 2-1 for Detroit. Nylander has a net drive that saved. Bunting was really mad at not getting a call. I will agree. Bunting draws penalties. I think we're in one of those situations where when it's up in the air, I think a referee might think he's embellishing. And I don't know that we're going to get something more with this or not, but it definitely seems like he's got a reputation now for somebody who really plays up for the penalties. And I'm not saying that's the case, but that definitely seemed like a reputation non-call. Shots are 3 apiece at 4.5 minutes. I know Leaf fans are going to get mad at me. Power play for Toronto. Strong penalty kill. The Wings are pressuring. But yeah, that ends up being killed off by the Wings. So the Leafs get another power play. They got opportunities. What's interesting too is that's after Bunting's complaining that they get back-to-back power plays. Bunting couldn't bury one. It becomes a 4-on-4. Toronto ends up pulling the goaltender, and Sherratt hits the empty net from Larkin at 18:07. It was post and in from the other end. Nice goal. 1:11 left. The Wings get a power play, and they score on it. It's Moritz Seider, so he stays hot, from Wallman and Raymond at 19:40, just to really kick him. Detroit wins this one 4-1. They go to 18-15-7. Toronto drops to 26-10-7 with the loss. Your 3 stars in this one, Fabry, Husso, and Sandin. Shots are 9-8 in favor of Detroit in the first, 8-6 Toronto in the second, 17-8 Toronto in the third. So Husso earned that star. Final shots 33-23 for Toronto. They go for 3 on the power play. The Wings go 2 for 5. Hits 18-15 Toronto. Samsonov saves a 19 out of 22. And Husso saves 32 out of 33. I figure I'll say Samsonov and Samsonov. That way I'm right and wrong at the same time. So, sure, why not? All right, next up, Vancouver and Tampa. So for the Canucks, I guess it gets really repetitive that their penalty kill is really just drilling their season into the ground. But we're still here. It's Delia versus Vasilevsky. Canucks had the lone shot 2.5 minutes in, and Garland ends up scoring, opening the scoring for Vancouver from Horvat and Shen at 4:14. Bolts look to answer. They don't get shots, though. The shots are 6-0 Vancouver at 5.5 minutes. Peterson then had a fight with Belmar. Not bad for Peterson. That might keep him in the lineup. The Canucks press with 8.5 minutes left, but the Bolts would get a power play, and they score on it because the Canucks penalty kill is not very good, which is understating it. Perry scores from Sergachev and Colton at 14:37. Shots are evening up a bit in the second half, but the Canucks would get some pressure. Kuzmenko has a shot kicked aside as they were pressing. Kucherov then had a one-timer that was held, and Chernak's denied in the final minute. So after one period, it's 1-1. Second period, Bear has a screenshot that's held, but Killorn puts Tampa Bay in front. He scores from Perbix and Hagel at 2:30. The Canucks get a power play. Pedersen's shot saved. The Bolts clear it out, but they do score on that power play. It is JT Miller from Hughes and Delia at 5:44. The Canucks press at 9 minutes. The shots are 9-6 for Vancouver with 6 minutes left. But at 15:44, Kucherov scores from Stamkos and Point. And then in the final minute, those just killer goals. Hagel scores from Killorn and Perbix at 19:29. So Tampa Bay's leading after 2 periods. We've seen this storyline before. They announced before the third period that Dermott, who had gotten hurt in the first, was not returning to the game. So 5 defensemen for Vancouver. Canucks get a power play. That's killed off. The Bolts press at 4 minutes. They get a power play. That becomes a 5-on-3. You cannot allow a 5-on-3 against Tampa. And Stamkos gets goal number 499. Does not get 500, but remember, they play the Canucks again in about a week's time, so he might get 500 against Vancouver. Not off the hook yet. Point and Kucherov with the assists at 5.5 minutes. The Canucks did kill off the 5-on-4. That's the only penalty they killed all night. Hughes would then make things interesting. He scores from Pettersson and Kuzmenko at 14:40. It's nice to see Quinn Hughes is starting to get goals. The goalie gets pulled with 3.5 minutes left. And on a face-off win, Vancouver ends up scoring. It's Pettersson from Hughes and Miller at 17:52. So Hughes is on the board a bunch. With 2:03 left, the Canucks get a power play, pull the goalie to make it interesting, but it's killed off. And Lazar is denied on what would have been a buzzer beater. So Tampa Bay holds on. They win 5-4. They go to 26-13-1. Vancouver 17-21-3 with the loss. 3 stars are Stamkos, Killorn, and Hagel. I mean, I know it's the Tampa Bay guys picking him, but Pettersson couldn't get a star? Man. Shots 15-11 Vancouver in the first, 11-10 Tampa in the second, 15-13 Tampa Bay or Vancouver in the third. Final shots 40-35 for the Canucks. Power plays Vancouver 1 for 3, Tampa Bay 2 for 3. And that's your difference. Hits 36-25 Vancouver. Delia saves 30 out of 35. Their goalies keep allowing 5. I don't know how much I can put on the goaltending. Vasilevsky 36 saves on 40 shots. I didn't think Vasilevsky had his best game, but yeah, the Canucks just don't end up getting the victory. They find a way to allow 5 goals. All right, next up, Winnipeg. So now we're into where my wife's happy. So I was not happy. If you guys are following along, yeah, loss. Her teams did pretty well. So it was Winnipeg in against Buffalo, Hellebuck against Luukkonen. Good back and forth early. The shots are 5-2 for the Sabres at 5 minutes. And then Sandberg, he scores from Schmidt at 6:34. Dubois then had a rush chance that was kicked aside. Morrissey has a blast that's held. The Sabres press at the half. We get a power play for the Jets. That's killed off. Things get pushy after a hold by Hellebuck. We get a power play for the Sabres. It's killed off as well. We're going to the second period with the Jets up 1-0. Krebs is denied. Hellebuck holds at the start of that one. Sabres press. We get some pushing after a hold as well. Power play for Buffalo. That's killed off. The Sabres do press afterwards. Not getting a lot of shots, though. The shots are 3 apiece at 6.5 minutes. Dubois with a near miss on an Ehlers net feed. Then the Jets press at 7.5 minutes. Really big saves there just to keep it close by Luukkonen. Lots of Luke chants from the crowd there, too. Sabres go back to the power play. Dahlin has a chance that's held. Not a power play goal, but the Buffalo Sabres do tie it. It's Olofsson at 12:02 from Mittelstadt and Jost. So that ties her up. And then at 14:11, Morrissey gets the lead back. He'd been held off the board, I think, 3 games in a row. He'd been held off the board. Not tonight. He scores from Ehlers and DeMello at 14:11. It was a screenshot, so Luukkonen didn't see that one. We then get a power play with 42 seconds left for the Jets. So they're up 2-1. They've got a power play starting the third period. Cousins is robbed on a shorthanded break, so Dylan Cousins was going for it. Sabres do finish the kill, and then at 2:50, it's Jost. Yeah, he scores from Olofsson and Dahlin. Dubois then denied in close as we're back in a tie game. Sabres press at 6.5 minutes and pin them down. But as soon as I write that down, then the puck's turned over and Connor goes end-to-end at 7:18. Fantastic deke on a breakaway. No chance for Luukkonen. I do wonder if he had to scale the glass to get his jock out of the crowd after that. That was just insane. So yeah, Connor gets the lead for Winnipeg. One of my favorite players, and moves like that don't hurt. Sabres get a power play. That becomes 4-on-4. Everything's killed off. Sabres press after all the penalties are done with. There was nearly a goal to tie it with 1 minute and 43 seconds left, but no. And then with the goalie pulled, Kuhlman hits the empty net from Connor and Dylan at 19:17. So the Jets go into Buffalo and give them their 3rd straight loss. Winnipeg 27-14-1 with the 4-2 win. Buffalo's 20-18-2 with the loss. And these are adding up. Like, you're in the East, you've got to have that run going. And for Buffalo, this might be one of those things we look back on and say, you know, they got better, but these losing streaks hurt them. 3 stars, Hellebuck, Connor, and Olofsson. The shots in this one, 10-9 Buffalo in the first, 16-9 Buffalo in the second, 15-9 Buffalo in the third. Final shots, 41-27 for the Sabres. Power plays, Winnipeg 0 for 2, Buffalo 0 for 5. So that's a big part of your story right there. Hits are 19-9 for Winnipeg. Buffalo does not throw a lot of hits. Hellebuck saves 39 out of 41. Luukkonen saves 23 out of 26. So, big game for Winnipeg. They kind of needed that after the loss in Detroit. So, tonight they only allow 2 goals. That definitely helps their defensive numbers. All right, last one on this board is Minnesota and the New York Islanders. And it looked like the Islanders were going to walk their way to a victory. And Sorokin was going to carry them, and it was going to be fine. So it's Gustafsson versus Sorokin in this one. Again, I think Gustafsson's the better of the 2 goaltenders in Minnesota now. You guys can let me know your thoughts. Early jump for the Islanders. There's a power play for New York. That's killed off. The shots are 2-0 for the Islanders 4 minutes into this. Kaprizov has a rush chance. That's blocked. The Wild press at 6 minutes. There's more pressure by the Wild, but they need shots. So they're getting all this zone time. They're not getting the shots. The shots are only 3-2 in favor of the Islanders with 9 minutes left, despite all this zone time for Minnesota. And then Mayfield at 16:49 scores from Martin and Romanov. So that's a tough break if you're Minnesota because you've had so much control. 2:22 left. There's a power play for Minnesota. They had a good cycle late in it, but that's killed off. It's 1-0 New York after the first period. Second period, Wild get a power play. I would like to also thank these games tonight that the second periods weren't crazy. I've had so many nights where it's really busy like this in the second periods, I could barely keep up. So, Wild get an early power play. Aggressive penalty kill by the Islanders, however, they do kill that off. The Wild go back to the power play. We then had 24 seconds of 4-on-4, meaning the Islanders' power play would be at the end of that. Nelson has a rush chance that's turned back. Gustafsson then denies Nelson. Nelson was all around it, but that's killed off. The shots are 8-6 for Minnesota with 9.5 minutes left, so they're getting more chances at the net than they did in the first. Then there's a delay game call, gets the Wild the power play. That's killed off. Nelson has a shot that's held as the Islanders press. And honestly, Sorokin has had a great game through 40 minutes. And because it's Sorokin, I'm kind of assuming he'll just do it again in the third and they win. You've got the shutout. And I'll have another Tony the Tiger Magnet to put on the board. Third period, the shots are 3-0 for Minnesota at 2.5 minutes. So again, Sorokin's holding down the fort. Delay game call gives the Wild a power play again. That's the second delay game that I saw that was against the Islanders. That's killed off, though, like the first. Shots are 5-2 Minnesota at 9.5 minutes. The Islanders draw a power play. There's a shorthanded chance by Gaudreau. He's denied by Sorokin, and I left it on the board because it looked like he was denied. He was not. The review shows that the glove actually goes into the net. Gaudreau gets a shorthanded goal at 10:55, and then Minnesota finished the kill. That's very important. So it's 1-1, and it felt like from there, the Islanders were just out of sorts. So Steele scores from Zuccarello and Kaprizov at 12:28. It was on a turnover, and Steele just fires it home. Things got to get pushy after an offside by the Wild. Like I said, the Islanders were kind of thrown off by that goal, and it just kind of changed the rest of this game. The Wild press with 5 minutes left. Spurgeon fires one wide. Long shift for the Islanders. They were pinned down for quite a while. Foligno scores, but you can't score by pushing the goaltender's pad into the net. So that goal didn't count. It got waved off. Not even reviewing it. Foligno didn't really fight it either. Goalie pull with 2:10 left. That leads to an empty netter by Kaprizov. He scores from Zuccarello and Merrill at 18:47. Your final score is 3-1 for Minnesota. So they go to 23-14-4 with the win. With the loss, the Islanders drop to 22-18-3. Your 3 stars are Kaprizov, Gaudreau, and Sorokin. Shots in this one, 7-4 Minnesota in the first. 17-10 Minnesota in the second, so they broke through a bit there, and then 12-6 in the third for Minnesota. Final shots 36-20 for the Wild. Power plays, Minnesota 0 for 5, the Islanders 0 for 3. Both teams had 19 hits in this game. Gustafsson saves 19 out of 20. Sorokin saves 33 out of 35. He was very good, just didn't get that goal support, and that does happen. That being said, I need to change boards. All right, last board, I promise. We will have some 15-game nights, though, coming up. And then there's a 16-game night before the season's over, too. So I'm going to be ready for that. And my preview board doesn't have 16 squares. It's got 15. So, because I didn't see that. It's my bad. So, let's go ahead and change the board first. All right, so full transparency. Shadow was meowing to get out. I tried to get him to leave, and then he wouldn't leave. Threw me off. I didn't actually change boards. I've changed boards. Here's the final board. So Calgary and St. Louis, back-to-back games, and whatever happened in the first game between these two teams did not happen in the second one. Calgary came out and played really well. On the St. Louis front, had to be somewhat frustrating for St. Louis fans to see how different this game went. So it's Vladar versus Greiss, and I've been a Dan Vladar fan for a long time, still am. So early press by the Flames. In fact, 4 minutes in, The shots are 5-0 in favor of Calgary. So they came out and they played very well to start. It wouldn't stay lopsided like that, but it was nice to see them come out and play well. There's a power play for the Blues. That's killed off. There's a press by the Flames at 9 minutes. And Greiss was really solid early in this game. It looked like he was going to have another really, really good game. Blues press with 4.5 minutes left. Not that Greiss had a bad game, just they did eventually break through. Vladar denies Toropchenko. Yeah, he thought he was going to get that, and Vladar said no. 2:31 left. The Blues get a power play. That's killed off after the first period. It is scoreless. Second period. Achari's denied on a turnover. The shots are 5 apiece at 6 minutes. Remember, there's 11 games on at this point. Blues press at 8 minutes. Stone finally was the one to clear that out. Another Blues press at the half. So a lot of pressure by the home team. Not a ton of shots, though. When you look at it at the end of the game and you look at the shots, the Blues didn't get as many as it felt like they should have. So Vladar was a wall to this point. There's a net feed to Rosen that's broken up, and then the puck goes the other way. And Dewar gets his first NHL goal from Kadri and Lewis at 15:24. So that's a rush right after there was some really good pressure by St. Louis. And it's 1-0 Calgary. 3 minutes left. The Blues get a power play. That's killed off. In the final minute, Mangiapane hits a crossbar. It was not the only time that Mangiapane would hit the post. He had hit the post prior to that as well. So we go to the third period. 20 seconds in, Jake Neighbors gets a goal from Achari and Barbashev. That was the only shot in the first 4 minutes for St. Louis. Calgary had one shot in the first 4 minutes as well. Weegar has a shot kicked aside. That was a good shot. I will agree with Kelly Rudy. That was a good shot by Weegar that didn't look that dangerous, but it was. Not much room for either team, though, at this point. The Flames press at 9 minutes, and eventually Dubé would score from Lindholm at 10:50. Now, Greiss was upset because I think he felt like he was thrown off, that he was interfered with. They don't challenge, which is good because he had time to get reset. So even if there had been some kind of an interference somewhere, he had time to reset. And I don't think that would have been taken off, and then you're killing a penalty as well while you're down 2-1. Zadorov has a screenshot. That saved. Mangiapane's denied as the Flames press. And then there's a turnover on a forecheck, and it's in the net. It's Coleman at 16:04, and suddenly it's 3-1. So they would pull the goaltender with 3:50 left. So basically they win the faceoff, and immediately Greiss comes out, and that leads to an empty netter at 16:39. It's Dubé from Lindholm and Toffoli. Calgary wins this one 4-1. They go to 20-14-9 with the win. St. Louis 21-19-3 with the loss. Your 3 stars are Dubé, Vladar, and Dewar. So there you go. Your shots: 16-12 Calgary in the first, 12-9 Calgary in the second, 12-5 Calgary in the third. Holding St. Louis to 5 shots at home in the third period is ridiculous. Final shots: 40-26 for Calgary. Of course, St. Louis's home record isn't fantastic either. Power plays: Calgary 0 for 1, St. Louis 0 for 3. The hits: 27-25 for Calgary. Vladar saves 25 out of 26. Greiss saves 36 out of 39. So Greiss had good stats, but Calgary got enough shots on net that eventually they got a couple to go in. That's really the thing. You go with quantity over quality at times. See, now he's just asleep. Now Shadow is he's just sleeping. It's like he wanted to test me, like, hey, so you open? Oh, he opened the door. Oh, I threw him off. He didn't move the board. It's all his plan. It's all his plot. Make me look bad. All right, no more food for him. Next up, Colorado in against Chicago. This might have been the most surprising result of the night. I know people might counter with, well, Seattle over Boston, but Boston was due for something to go wrong, and Seattle's been playing really well. This one did surprise me. So it's Francouz versus Mrazek. The shots are 2 apiece at 2.5 minutes. At 3:24, Lafferty opens the scoring from Blackwell. And 8.5 minutes in, the shots are 4 apiece. Like this game is way too even other than the score, and it seems odd. Radish has a rush shot that deflects wide. The Avs press at the half. Eventually, they tie it up. It's Rodriguez from McKinnon at 11:40. The Avs would get a power play. That was killed off after the first period. It's 1-1. Second period. At 1:44, Athanasiou on a rush chance scores from Phillips and Mrazek. So Mrazek with the secondary assist there. The Hawks then get a power play. That's killed off. 8.5 minutes into the period, the shots are 10-0. 10-0 for Chicago. Colorado would recover, but it just shows this was not a great night for the Avs. Another Hawks power play, good cycle, near miss by Taves. Cogliano clears it to end it. And then Makar would score during a brief press by Colorado at 11:47 from Ranton and McKinnon. It was a screenshot, so Mrazek didn't see it. Hawks then go back to the power play. That's killed off. The Avs get a power play. The Hawks don't let them set up, which surprised me as well. They do kill that off. And then Newhook took a puck to the face. Not great. He had to have his visor replaced with a longer visor. So he looked like he was from a Battle of the Planets. But it's 2-2 after 2. I'm way too old. That reference is going to go over the heads of everybody. So go look up Battle of the Planets or Gotchaman and come back. I'll wait. Never mind. Third period. Early press by the Avs. The shots are 2 apiece at 3.5 minutes. Caleb Jones has a shot that's held. Radish gets the goal to put Chicago ahead from Tyler Johnson and Taves at 6:36. Now, the Avs do look to answer. They get some pressure at 9.5 minutes. They also get a power play. That's killed off. Mrazek holds on to a chance from Eric Johnson. The Avs tie, but goalie interference challenge, and it was pretty obvious that it was no goal. That one I was like, yeah, no, that's coming back, and it doesn't count. Goalie pull with 2 minutes and 10 seconds left. It was sad it was Newhook, though, because it would have been great. You know, Newhook takes a puck in the face and then scores in the third, but doesn't want to wind up like that. So they pull the goalie. There's a near miss for Rodriguez. McKinnon's denied. The Hawks don't hit the empty net. They don't need to. They win this one 3-2. They've won 3 in a row. They're 11-25-4. For Colorado, they're 20-17-3 with the loss. This is a tough one. 3 stars, McCabe, Lafferty, and Mrazek. Remember, Colorado's below the playoff line, and now they're watching teams get further ahead of them. Shots in this one, 11-7 Colorado in the first, 14-9 Chicago in the second, 13-9 Colorado in the third. They did outshoot Chicago 33-30. Power plays, Colorado 0 for 5. That's a problem. Chicago 0 for 3. The hits, 31-18 Chicago. Francouz saves 27 out of 30. Mrazek saves 31 out of 33. Mrazek's having a decent season in Chicago, just he's in Chicago, so people aren't paying as much attention. And Stalock, like really, the goaltending has not been a problem for Chicago this year, which is a surprise. All right, that being said, moving along, one of the last games of the night, Ottawa in against the Arizona Coyotes. So it's Forsberg versus Vejmelka in this one. The shots are 2-1 for the home team, 3 minutes in. But Tkachuk, he gets the opening goal at 7:49 from DeBrincat and Stützle. Sens get a power play. That's killed off. However, at 14:45, Brassard gets a goal to make it 2-0 from Giroux and Sanderson. The Sens then go back to the power play. That's killed off as well. 2:03 left. The Coyotes get a power play, which the Senators then killed off. So after the first period, the score is 2-0, and there's been some power plays. The second period, Ritchie's denied on a rush. The Coyotes had the early jump there. Valimaki then had a rush chance. That was held. Sens press. They're kept to the outside. We get a power play for Ottawa. Tkachuk has a tip shot that's saved. We then get 1:41 of 4-on-4, meaning there's a 19-second power play for Arizona at the end of this, and they score. On a rush, it's Gunther, blasts it under the bar. Bar down. Beautiful goal by Gunther from Fisher and Valimaki at 8:45. So Gunther looks pretty good as a rookie. Not too shabby. Pretty good pickup. Sens press for a response. The shots are 9-7 for Ottawa with 8 minutes left. Bukestad's denied as the Coyotes press. The Sens then press with 3 minutes left, and eventually they get a goal. It's DeBrincat from Tkachuk and Chabot at 17:41. He buries that one in close. That's his 14th of the season. He's still on pace for almost 30 goals. So while it's not as many as what would have been expected, it's not been a bad year for DeBrincat. Giroux's denied. The Sens press for another, and in the last minute, the Coyotes had some pressure. So after the second period, it is 3-1 in favor of Ottawa. Third period, Giroux can't bury one as the Senators press early. Brassard's then denied. The Coyotes clear it out. Things get pushy after a hole by Vejmelka, and then Krause tips one in. He scores from Bukestad and Gunther at 3:45. And I thought the Senators' defense on that play, not great. So that makes it 3-2, and the Coyotes are in this. The shots, though, are 10-6 for Ottawa at 6.5 minutes, and at 9:42, it's Kastelik scoring from Sanderson. Things then get pushy after a hole by Vejmelka, and then Hayden at 17:16 deflects one in from Ritchie and Schmaltz. So they pull the goalie with 1 minute and 50 seconds left, this game being far too interesting for Ottawa's liking. Coyotes call a timeout with 53 seconds left. What happens shortly thereafter at 19:15, Artem Zub hits the empty net from Holden and Giroux, and so your final score is 5-3. Ottawa avoids the dreaded trap. They go to 19-19-3. Arizona's losing everything right now. They're 13-23-5. They're not winning on the road, and now they're not winning at home either. That's 7 straight in regulation for them. 3 stars are Tkachuk, DeBrincat, and Gunther. The shots, 15-8, Ottawa in the first, 18-11, Ottawa in the second, 14-10, Ottawa in the third. Final shots are 47-29 for the Sens. Power plays, Ottawa 1 for 4, Arizona 1 for 2. Hits 39-38 for Ottawa. Forsberg saves 26 out of 29. Vejmelka, very busy. 42 saves on 46 shots. Just another one of those games where Vejmelka allows 4 goals, and yet he played well. So that's why I don't read a whole lot into goals against average. Because I hear that, like, why doesn't he talk about goals against average? Because I don't think that tells you how well a goaltender's playing. All right, last game of the night. Florida in against Vegas. I really thought Florida was going to pull this off. I really did. Halfway through this game, I was like, man, they could actually do this. So it was Bobrovsky versus Hill. Hill needed the game he had tonight. He had a fantastic game. Early jump for Vegas. Panthers score was the net off. The net was off, but they review it and decide that Vegas was responsible for the net being knocked off. Hutton didn't directly knock it off, but he pushed an Arizona player into knocking it off. So a Florida player into knocking it off. Cousins ends up getting credited with the goal at 2:02 because he put the puck in the net, and it's 1-0 Florida. Now, it breaks the shot counter. For the longest time, it showed Florida had 1 goal on no shots, which is remarkable to have a goal and not have a shot. I would love to see how that works. Technically, I guess that could work if it's an own goal, right? But don't those still get counted as shots? That's something I've never really considered. Here we are. So, yeah, that was a good goal. Then there was a fight between Smith and COL-CHI. Pretty good tilt there. The shots are 5-1 for Vegas at 5.5 minutes. I put the 1 because it still said 5-0, and this is a good 3.5 minutes after the goal's gone in. Strong forecheck by Vegas. Stone had a wraparound that was saved. Bobrovsky really sharp in this one. And it felt like they might only need to clean one end of the ice because the puck is just staying in Florida's end. Vegas is just wave after wave of attack. Montour has a rush chance, that's saved. The Panthers finally start getting some pressure as the second half of the period's underway here. Eichel has a shot that's blocked. The Panthers rush the other way. Ref is told at this point that he sucks. It's important to let the referee know. I also think it's important when you have 2 referees to specify which referee. But nobody ever does it. So I've always thought that the one referee will think, he's talking about that guy. That guy does suck. And the other referee's thinking, I'll be talking about him. He sucks. So, COL-CHI has a rush chance that's saved, but after 1 period, it's 1-0 Florida. And it didn't feel like it should be 1-0 Florida, even though they had the better second half. Vegas was the better team through a lot of that first period. Second period, Vegas presses at 3 minutes. Lomberg can't bury one in close. And then at 4:08, it's Nick Raw. He scores to put Vegas on the board from COL-CHI. Eichel's then denied as Vegas presses for the lead. Stevenson's denied. Bobrovsky holds on there. Shots are 11-7 for Vegas at the half. But Vegas would just stop getting shots at about, I think it was the 11.5 minute mark. From then on, they didn't have anything in that period. So, Panthers get a power play. Vegas doesn't let them set up. There was a shorthanded chance for Eichel. That was saved. I think that was the last shot of that period. And then Reinhart scores the power play marker. He gets it from Tkachuk and Barkov at 12:47. Bennett's then denied as the Panthers press. So now Florida's back ahead 2-1. And I thought, if they can keep this up. Nope. So, Panthers score, but that goal's offside. So it was going to be 3-1, and then it wasn't. There's a press by Florida with 1.5 minutes left. Lundell fires one wide on a fast break. We're going to the third period with the score, 2-1 in favor of Florida. And with the second period being as it was, I felt like Florida was more deserving of the lead. Third period, Lundell has a rush chance to save. There was a post for Verhaeghe. Power play for Florida becomes a minute 44 of 5-on-3. And this is your game. It's a 5-on-3. It's a minute and 44. Vegas kills that off. 2 shots. Florida manages 2 shots during the 5-on-3 and that brief 5-on-4 that follows. So the shots are 7-0 for Florida, 7 minutes in. And you see the score. So we'll get into how we get there. Cousins was denied. The next shot he had fired high. And then you knew it was coming, right? Eichel scores on a breakaway from Korczak at 8:37. This is your standard Vegas game, which they haven't had enough of this year. Maybe this is a sign they're coming. Where they just sleep through the first half of the third period and then, oh, never mind. And then they win. So Bennett has a rush chance that's held. There was a post for Riley Smith. His next chance was held as well. Florida presses with 3.5 minutes left. Vegas scores. It's a goalie interference challenge. Now, I was watching the Florida feed, and Randy Moeller was pretty convinced that this goal should stand, or shouldn't stand. But Montour clearly pushed Carrier. So, without the push on Carrier, Carrier doesn't crash into the goaltender, and so that's it's a good goal. The goal counts. So what happens is that means Carrier scores from Colasar at 17-24, puts Vegas in front. With the failed challenge by Florida, now it's a power play for Vegas as well. So at 18:53, with the empty net, and with it technically being a power play, though they're 5-on-5, Carlson hits the empty net. So they were perfect on the power play tonight, and it's an empty net goal. And your final score is 4-2. Vegas kind of got away with one tonight, but this is Vegas reasons all over again, going back 6 years. 28-13-4 for Vegas with this 4-2 win. And for Florida, they dropped back below NHL 500 at 19-20-4. So the 3 stars in this one, Colasar, or Eichel, I should say, Colasar and Carrier. The shots, 14-10 Vegas in the first, 17-13 Florida in the second, 12-6 Florida in the third. The final shots, 39-33 for the visitors. Power plays, Florida won for 3. Vegas scored on the only one they had. That's your empty netter. Hits, 36-33 for Vegas. Bobrovsky saved 29 out of 32. Adin Hill saves 36 out of 38, and he can't get in the 3 stars. I've talked about Vegas' 3 stars going back to their first year. I would have given him the 3rd star over Carrier. I think Adin Hill had the best game he's played, maybe all season, but it was definitely one of them. And considering some of his recent starts, I'm really surprised he didn't get into the 3 stars. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below, as always. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe if you're browsing your way through. You just happened upon this video, and yeah, Shadow's still sleeping. He meows to get out. I opened the door and we want out. And he's like, nah, I just wanted to make you move. All right. Thank you guys so much for all your support. And again, hit like and subscribe if you just happened upon this video. I will talk to you again soon.